Hello again, everybody. So I am here again to share some tips on how to pass your teaching demonstration for DepEd. Okay, so let us begin. The first one is good demonstration lesson plan and practice to execute it very well. So of course, you need to make sure that you have a good lesson plan. If you don't have any ideas on how to make your lesson plan, you can check the internet. There are many samples that you could check on them. And with the practice, as much as possible, you try to master it. Maybe you can try to pretend at home. Maybe especially if you wanted to build your confidence, you can ask maybe your family, your friends to watch you so that at least you could build your confidence, especially if it's your really first demonstration without any teaching experience. You will really feel the nerve. So as much as possible, practice, okay? Practice. And going back with the lesson plan, make sure that your lesson plan is well written, okay? The next one is visual aid must be interesting and appropriate to the topic. Be very careful with your visual aid because some, well, very sadly for some because they think it's very fun, so they're going to be using it, but it's not really appropriate, right? So be very careful because sometimes we just tend to concentrate with the visual aid also, but we also must concentrate with how are we going to present it. It's not just about your visual aid, like that's not what's being scored. It's not that, it's the presentation, your presentation. But of course visual aid is very important, but it should be very appropriate to the topic and to the grade level of your supposed students on your demonstration. Okay, the next step is use of audiovisual material is highly recommended. Especially this time, it's very advantageous if you're very good with making presentations, using some audiovisual materials. Like we try to step away from the four P's, like the manila paper, right? I forgot what do you call it, but it's like full. I mean, manila paper folded into four that we commonly use. Well, it's okay if we don't have a choice, but we try to be more creative as possible because that's one in maybe once in a lifetime chance also to present our creativity, right? Well, maybe if you really cannot have this audiovisual because of your availability of resources, and try maybe to have cutouts which are colorful, which are creative, not just a plain manila paper. But I think most of us now, most teachers nowadays are very capable of using cell phones. Well, you can use that maybe for audios like that, especially if your topics are within maybe literatures, like stories. You can have some clips a bit, but not too long clips or not too long visuals because it will actually take your time on the presentation. Just be creative about it. But this is actually an advantage, all right? It will give your interviewer the what do you call this? It will give the interviewer the thought that, oh, this teacher is advanced with technology, something like that. Okay. Another tip would be know your major very well or know your topic very well. They're going to be giving you a chance. I mean, most probably pick your own topic, or they're going to give you, or sometimes it's an impromptu demonstration. For some teachers, they were very lucky enough to have an impromptu and they were able to deliver it that well. Well, good for them. But how much more for like beginners of just having demonstration and DepEd? Well, they of course need some preparation, right? I remember I have some friends, they said to me that they had impromptu, especially this pandemic. I remember like because it was really badly needed. So she had an impromptu and she got it. She just showed the confidence, and of course, they have considered maybe the less resource because it was just an impromptu. But if it's not impromptu, make sure that you're very familiar about it. If it's about math, be familiar. If it's English, be familiar. Don't, and as much as possible, do not just concentrate on a topic because sometimes they're actually going to expand the questions. So be very careful, be very familiar with the umbrella discussions of your topic, okay? but familiarity is very important. All right. So the next one, master your lesson. The same thing. So please, please master our lesson. It's not just because, oh, I know this, you know it. As I mentioned, there's a lot of probability that they're going to have follow-up questions, which sometimes, sadly, some teachers were not able to answer. Well, honestly, some of my friends were not able to answer. It's because they just realized that, I know this. But it's really better if we familiarize ourselves with the topic, okay? We master our lesson. The next step is prepare instructional materials. The same thing with the audiovisual aid. uh, Prepare it, be creative. Like, how do we call this? Especially if you're going to be having a demonstration for primary students. Well, like having creative, colorful is it's very advantageous because it shows your creativity, right? Literally. But of course, for high school, things like that, make sure it's also appropriate. All right. And I think we've been into a lot of practice. I mean, most of us have been with practice teaching. So we have experience to handle different topics and different ways on how to deliver our material. But during our demonstration, we make sure that we give our best. Okay? Okay. The next one is be lively during your demo. Well, I understand. Like, me too. I had the nerve. I was very nervous that time, but as much as possible, yeah, pray, relax yourself, and especially if you know your topic, if you master it, you will actually be eventually confident about it. Be lively. Well, if you say, oh, they're not smiling, they're not showing any emotion, they're just staring at me. Well, so what? They're actually testing your emotion for that or how you're going to handle them. So be lively, okay? Be lively that you still look professional because for some, like the liveliness becomes just like, you know that one, just lively in a way that still showing professional attitude or mannerisms, okay? All right. Next one is good command of language can also impress the panels. Generally, if you're teaching the language, example maybe English, well, it's a very good advantage. Science, maybe the science major, science subject, sorry. Like every subject that uses English, every subject that uses Filipino, or like just both languages. If you present yourself, it's because okay, your visual aid is very good. You've mastered your lesson. And when they hear you talk very nice, wow, that's a big factor actually for them to be amazed with you. They can hear that you have prepared, they can hear that you're very competitive. So we make sure about the language. Oh, by the way, remember, for some, they think that the good command of language means speaking very, very fast or like that. No, no, no. It's just like it's not really about talking very fast. It's talking very clearly, fluently, that students can understand you. You're not going there to compete with, I'm so good with English, I'm so good with Filipino. You're there to present yourself very humbling, in a very humble way that you can teach them the lesson very well. Okay, so language, we master, not yeah, we master. We try to be fluent with our language. Okay, with the language that we are going to be using for the demonstration. All right, so this one. With the point that we want to impress them, sometimes we talk a lot. But unknowingly we're having a lot of mistakes or we're trying to show errors, something like that. So remember, less talk, less mistake. If we are not very sure about what we are going to be answering or what we're going to be talking about, we try to talk less about it. To what we know more, we talk more. So be very, very careful. That is why we say master your lesson plan so that if you really want to be talkative and talk more, at least you know what you're talking about. All right. If you're not sure about the answer, like just honestly say, oh, to be honest, maybe I'm going to be having a check on that, like that. But do not be opening your mouth because you say, "Oh, I know this, I know that." But what if they're going to be asking you questions? Be very careful, okay? Especially, well, we're not saying everybody, but some actually are so like too much confidence. Like they try to boost themselves that, oh yeah, I'm so good with this. But very sadly, they have failed. It's because the interviewer maybe had some follow-up questions that the teacher was not able to answer. It's because, the bragging. Some teachers are like kind of bragging of, wow, I'm so good, I'm so confident. But sometimes we tend to forget that, oops, I think I'm not so sure about this one. All right. So be careful of that one. Less talk, less mistake. So this is the last tip. So deliver your demo with humbling confidence. As I mentioned earlier, like maybe we're good, we're very good with the language, we're very confident with our lesson, and well, that gives us advantage. But make sure that our attitude goes also with how we present ourselves. Okay, be humble if you're so good, sure. Like that's nice, advantages. But make sure that you give yourself, the poise is very humbling because it's very sad to say a lot of teachers are quite so good, but because of attitude, they fail. Always remember that they are following a criteria that regardless if you're so good, also, what about if with your attitude you fail? Very sad to say a lot of good teachers were able to present the demo in a good way. Like it showed that they're so good with the information, the knowledge, but the attitude. Be very careful. It's so nice to have teachers who cares more, who cares about the students and also, of course, with their colleagues, right? This goes back to your attitude, to how humble you are. So be very careful. It's so nice that you're so good also, and also you show good attitude towards your interviewers or to the people who are going to watch your demonstration, okay? All right, so anyways, I hope you've learned something. This is the last step actually. Thank you so much, and I hope you familiarize yourself with some tips that you need to make sure. And I hope you've liked this video, so like, comment, share, and subscribe. Please help me grow this channel so that I could share more information to everybody. Thank you so much, and once again, good luck on your demonstration. Goodbye.